taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality, presented by the Triple S League.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast, your source for news, leaks, and insights about games and the gaming industry. And boy, do we have an insight for you today. Stay tuned. It is July the 20th, 2019. It's the Saturday morning edition of the show. Of course, it's in the afternoon or possibly in the evening or possibly middle of the night if you live in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Who knows? We appreciate you listening from all over the world. And it's actually pretty exciting that technology allows us to do this. If you think about it, it's kind of mind-blowing. Anyway, my name is Asheninity, and I'm here as always with the Cybsidian, and it's what's especially mind-blowing about it is we're just a couple of nerds sitting at our computers, and we are literally talking to people on the other side of the world. It's pretty amazing. So how you doing this morning, Cyb?
I am doing very well. I am ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille. For anybody who doesn't know that reference, it's a movie Hollywood thing. So yeah, we finally have figured out a little way to put my to put some of my face online. So we're gonna be doing that sometime in the near future, probably when we hit like 50,000 subs or something like that. We'll see.
All right, yeah. So I mean, it's top secret proprietary technology, the technology that powers Cybsidian, but we may have a way to reveal his physical appearance to you in the near future. If you're listening live this morning, please say hello in the live chat. Send us your questions and comments there as well. We'll read and respond to as many as we can throughout the podcast, and don't forget to slam that like button. Likes it rough, and it tells us and YouTube that you appreciate this content. If you're listening after the fact on one of the audio-only platforms, we're glad you're here as well, and we appreciate your likes and follows. It does take us a day or two to get the podcast up to the audio platform, so if you want the latest info sooner, we encourage you to hit the link in the description to subscribe to the Triple S League YouTube channel, where you'll find all kinds of fun content in addition to this podcast. All right, and hello to everybody who is busily chatting in the live chat as always. We've got a lot to talk about today. We are going to be reacting to the Witcher teaser, the Netflix show teaser that was it just came out yesterday, I believe. It's got over 4 million views already. Somebody posted it in our Discord server, and the reactions to it seem to be generally, well, among our audience, seem to be generally positive. Maybe with a bit of skepticism, but generally positive.
It's skeptical positive.
Yeah, like I guess cautious optimism.
Positivity.
Yeah. Cautious optimism might be the way to put it. We're going to also clarify some comments about Fallout 76 that were made on our previous podcast. So I would like to clarify some of what he was talking about, because we got some definite.
Apparently, I didn't make my point clear enough, so we're just gonna quickly go over that.
We'll quickly go over that. We don't want to misrepresent what's being said. We've got some Cyberpunk 2077 news, and just speaking of which, just.c is saying, did we see the interview with CD Projekt Red about Cyberpunk? Well, depends which one you're talking about. If you're talking about the one with Alvin Liu, yeah, we talked about it extensively on Wednesday. And there's a lot in that interview. We weren't able to go through every bit of it, but yeah. So there have been some new articles being posted about it. A lot of it is stuff we have talked about before, and part of the reason we didn't go through every little thing, and we talked about going into more of it today. Ultimately, decided not to really, just because so much of it is stuff we've talked about before, and. For example, they go into depth about, not in depth, I guess. They give an overview of some of the mega corporations in that interview. Which, I mean, if you've been following our channel or other channels that we work with, such as the Mad Queen Show, I mean, she's got extensive videos on the lore and the corporations and all about that stuff. So it didn't seem like it was necessary for us to go through all that. Plus, there was stuff about romance, which we've talked about extensively. We have talked directly with Lalaya, the community manager, or a community manager for CD Projekt. about the romance and things like that. So we went through the aspects of that interview that we hadn't really discussed before. But if there's anything in there that you'd like us to talk about, if there's any specific point that you want us to go over, definitely let us know. You can let us know in the chat here on the live stream, but actually a better way to get that to us is through the content requests channel on our Discord server. You can find the link to that in the description below. We're just more likely to see it if you post a message there as opposed to in the chat where it might get lost. I see several people posting that this is the first time they've been able to make it live, and so welcome to all of you who are joining us for the first time for the live show. Excuse me. Got morning throat going on here.
You are excused.
All right, so the big story today, though, I would say, is we're going to be talking about microtransactions, which is never a fun topic. But when you look at the state that the gaming industry is in with microtransactions right now, and it's gotten to the point where governments are starting to crack down on loot boxes and gambling mechanics in games. Mm-hmm. So game studios obviously are, how can they deal with this without losing that precious income that they're getting off of loot boxes? And they're starting to brainstorm some alternatives. And some of them are not sounding very good. Some of them actually sound even a little worse than loot boxes. And Cyb has been keeping his ear to the ground about all of this stuff. And so we're going to be talking about...
It's almost as if I'm very aware of what's going on.
Well, we are going to... we're going to go into some of the details about what he has heard. You're right. Sorry, Notional. It's surprise mechanics. They'll rename them tiny transactions.
I put that in my new book. There's a little sneak little point in that. So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
A reference to surprise mechanics. That's funny.
Yeah. She goes, "Oh, I hate surprise mechanics."
All right. So I guess let's start with the Fallout 76 stuff. So on the previous show, we talked about the Fallout 76 update 11 that has just gone live, and it's disastrous. We hadn't talked about all of the aspects of it, but if you go onto the subreddit for Fallout 76, users have compiled lists of all the things that have been broken by this latest update, and it is nightmarish. It's
it's pretty bad.
N7 Myth, do people still care about that game? Well, some people do, because there isn't like I said, people have been compiling the lists and trying to help Bethesda fix it, which is admirable that I guess some people are actually still sticking with that game at this point. But anyway, specifically, we talked about...
Well, let me just quickly address that, because this is something that I'm a little annoyed with. Because again, it's just kind of thrown around. So there is there is a lot more people who are playing that game than people who really hate the game want there to be playing the game. It has a significant number of people playing it. Now we don't know exactly what that number is, but we know that it's more than 100,000. We know that it's a little less than. We know that it's less than 500,000 of. How much less, we don't really know, but we know that it's somewhere between probably a conservative guess is going to be around like 200,000, 250,000, more or less. So it's not as bad as what some people say. It's just people don't talk about it because they get all the hate and the crap and the other stuff. But this is the reason why Bethesda keeps putting ways to make money inside the game, because people are actually playing the game and people are actually spending money on it. We'll cover why that's a bad thing, and I'm not, again, just because I'm bringing up facts doesn't mean that I'm not very, 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 very upset with Bethesda. I'm extremely upset with Bethesda, and it's extremely frustrating, but ignoring things doesn't make it get better, right? So you have to be aware of what is going on, and then you have to negotiate with the reaction that you put out for Bethesda itself. It's it's like they came out at E3 and they kind of apologized, right? Now, some people were like, not good enough. Well, it's like that's the best that you're going to get because that's the best that they can legally give without opening themselves up to a never-ending slew of frivolous lawsuits, which can bankrupt companies because it's happened before. So do we want them to learn and get better, or do we want them to continue on the road that they're on, or do we want to just have them sued into oblivion? And not the game, obviously, because
I was going to say, if they got sued back in time to the point where they, were making Oblivion, that might be a good thing.
Then maybe that might be a good thing. But at the same time, it's like going overboard and just wishing death upon them because it's not going to be helpful. And not that I'm saying we can't critique them, but it's like overrunning the situation or ignoring it is not something that's going to help anybody down the road. So I'm just, let's be logical and consistent for the most part.
Okay. So specifically on the previous podcast, we were discussing and you and I got into a bit of a debate about the new items that have been added to the cash shop, the scrapping tool, which is a one-time item you can purchase, scraps your inventory or scraps the junk in your inventory and sends it all to your stash without you having to go find a stash box or a workbench. And so, I mean, to me, this is a disgusting addition, and to you as well. But I think people felt like you were downplaying it in a way that you weren't intending to do.
Apparently I was either downplaying it or like not understanding that this was a horrible thing. Let me clarify. It is a horrible thing. It is an absolute bad thing to add. And that was my point, is that this isn't a game-breakingly powerful item in the game. It's just not. It's just a piece of garbage vendorware that they're throwing in that idiots will throw money at. And that's a horrible, horrible practice. It's a disgusting practice. But the item itself is garbage, which is why it's even more insulting that it's on the store to begin with. They've added an item to the game that unless you are unless it's not useful to you really, unless you're either a troll or unless you are a an absolute I want to say optimist, but that's not the right word. Like you want to optimize your every second within the game, and if you're that crazy about the game, then you probably need help. Like if you're trying to like figure out like I'm gonna go into this building and I'm gonna loot absolutely everything that's in the building. It's like if you've been playing the game for like 100 hours, you don't need to do that. Like you're only there to find X, Y, and Z. You're not there to find A, B, C, D through to X, Y, and Z. You're just there for X, Y, and Z. You're there for aluminum, probably like, yeah, you're mostly there for aluminum, glue, and like one or two other like high priority items, adhesive, and that's about it. You're not walking in there to try and find like whatever. And so yes, obviously it is somewhat beneficial, but it's really a garbage item inside a garbage store, and it's just trash. Like I don't know how else to put it, and that's why I kind of brushed it off as being not necessarily an important like it's yes, it's very worrisome that they're adding stuff to the game that's breaking the original promise, and that's really uncool, and we need to hit them on that over and over and over and over again. But the fact that the fact that there are some people who are claiming that it's this huge powerful item, it's not. It's really not in my opinion. It's a cheap thing that should be given away as like quest rewards daily quest rewards because it's just kind of like a meh item. It doesn't matter. The repair kit is far more useful, I suppose, in some circumstances, but it's like, and for that they really did create the problem. They really did. They really did engineer that problem with like they nerfed all of the armor stuff, and then they added an item that you pay for that instantly repairs your armor. It's like, come
Right.
on, that's just gross, right? And that is gross. However, as far as like this item goes, as far as like the auto junking feature, again, it's like you're within like 20 seconds of being able to trash your junk at pretty much any location where you're at, which is going to decrease the weight massively. And if you're only there for like particular items, it's like you have to be really, really weighed down, like extraordinarily weighed down if this is causing you a constant issue. Now, I know you didn't go with the strength build, so perhaps this is where you and I kind of differ. I went the melee strength build, so I was always running around with, I mean, just an enormous amount of weapons, armor, tons of stuff, and I never had any issue. It was like, getting full again, and go and drop this off. But you went the perception route, and you didn't max out the strength, right? So
that's right. I it was one of my higher priorities just because I wanted the carry weight, but it was definitely not my top. Anyway, I mean, I feel like that covers it.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
If you want to hear our more comments about it, you can listen to the previous podcast. You can hear Cyb and I fighting about it a little bit if you want, if that's your thing. I know we've had comments before. We've had people say, you guys need to fight more. It's entertaining. All right, so let's quickly talk about the Witcher teaser.
But why would people just want to hear Ash lose all the time? I don't understand.
They wouldn't. That's why they listen to this show. Oh, okay.
Oh
all right. So the teaser trailer for the Witcher Netflix series came out. I believe it came out yesterday. At least that's when I was made aware of it. Sorry, some of the comments in the chat are really funny.
Yeah.
All right, so a teaser trailer for the Witcher Netflix series just came out yesterday, and I believe it is generally getting a lot of positive reception, and that's good to see. There were some, there's been a lot of skepticism about the show. It is a video game adaptation. It is Netflix, which, they're hit and miss as far as some of their series. Like, they generally produce really good stuff, but, there are some of their shows where I've started watching, and it's like, it's really good quality, but then it's like, I get to the third or fourth episode, and it's like, well, this should have just been a movie. I mean, it's kind of being dragged out a little far at this point. Anyway. So, some information has been revealed, and we get to see some of the characters and sort of what the show's going to look like for the first time, essentially. Now, it's been revealed. I don't know if this was revealed before or not, but it is an adaptation of the books, not the games. So I guess I was not correct when I said video game adaptation. I mean, I guess.
It sort of applies, but it's mostly it's more based on the books than it is on the games, and so there are a significant number of minor and one or two major alterations that are going to be at play, and so yeah.
So with The Witcher, I mean, of course, is very famous because of the games. This show probably wouldn't be made if it was if the games hadn't happened, they wouldn't be making this show. I think that's a safe assumption, but it is an adaptation from the books, which I think is good, in my opinion. It gives the opportunity to take it in, maybe focus on different aspects of the story that we didn't see as much in the game. Plus, it's not a video game adaptation then, and I mean those seem to be just cursed as a genre. So yeah, I'm seeing some mixed reactions in the chat right now. Someone says that Polish fans are saying it's been kind of watered down and turned into a generic Western fantasy. I mean, I haven't read that myself, but that's an interesting take. And Thomas79, they did a Witcher show many years ago. I wasn't aware of that.
They did. It was it was terrible.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anyway,
it was basically like a really bad historical reenactment.
Okay.
Like on the old public access television. It was god awful. It was really god awful. Yeah.
I have smoten the werewolf.
This one, I feel that they've tried to make it more, or I don't know, maybe it's just the cinematography and how it came out, but it looks more like Game of Thrones than it does look like Witcher. However, both of them are set in a fantasy, medieval type society, so that may just be me being crazy and or stupid. So.
Okay, well, I mean, I haven't actually watched any of Game of Thrones. I mean, I've seen clips of it, but I appreciated what I saw.
Everybody shame him in the comments.
Oh yeah, right.
And then realize that the joke is on you because of the last episode.
That is, yeah, I got burned once already like that, and it was a show called How I Met Your Mother. But anyway, sorry, bumped my desk there. All right, so yeah, as far as this, so speaking about the Witcher teaser specifically, I appreciated what I saw in terms of the cinematography. It looks like it is, I don't know, it looked pretty good. It was surprisingly good, I suppose, especially for, I mean, it doesn't seem like the show has been in production for that long, but it is coming out later this year, so I guess they must be fairly far along. They're producing, I believe, 8
I'm a close talker,
episodes.
so I was excited about all new Colgate Total. Its breakthrough formula.
Okay. Wow, whatculture.com. You get put in the naughty corner for that. My tab just started making noise without my permission. Sorry about that. All right, so yeah, what was I saying? It looks pretty good to me. The Witcher teaser looked pretty decent to me. The characters, I mean, it's kind of striking seeing characters you're familiar with that look completely different than you envision them in your mind. Like, of course, I envision the characters like I see them in the game, and so they look different, so it's kind of jarring. It's kind of that way when we watched the Avengers previews at E3 as well. It's like, well, these do not look right, and yet I'm just going based off of the movies when they're taking them in a different direction. So, yeah. You guys were trying to find your noisy tabs. Yeah, no, it was mine.
Yeah, no,
Bad website.
If you want to just close yours, I can do the reading on this one. I really hate websites that do that. And I have a list of like websites that I will not go on to look at any like new information. I'm only going there to look up information that I have to look up on their site. Okay. That is how much I despise that autoplay thing where you're like, nope, please put this on mute, and then it's like 15-20 minutes later it's like, so we're just gonna start playing audio again. It's the main reason why, because Nexus mods had a lot of that, and they still have a problem with that from time to time because of the ads that they play. And it's really, really frustrating, which is why I don't spend as much time on Nexus mods, and why originally I ended up finding Lover's Lab. So, because I was just so annoyed with the autoplay that I was like, nope, I'm just gonna look for mods elsewhere because of this incessantly annoying autoplay feature that they have for ads. Like I'd get up or I'd wake up, and then in the middle of the night, and I'd hear like voices and stuff, and it would be like the computer started up and then started playing the damn autoplays from. It was just disgusting. Disgusting.
Apparently, Chrome has an option that I just discovered where if you right-click on the tab, you can mute the website. So that's excellent.
Oh, that's I think that's newer. So that's cool.
Yeah. All right. So, anyway, this is completely derailed. All right.
Yeah,
so back
sorry.
to the Witcher teaser. We have. This is the risks of a live show. Yeah, cinematically looked pretty decent. The characters, I mean, the acting seemed fairly well. Now they did fill the teaser with lots of sort of cliche dramatic dialogue, which they always do. So I wasn't terribly concerned about that. It doesn't. At this point, I really feel like it's really hard to predict what the actual quality of the show is going to be in terms of the writing and the story. We got to see some of the monsters, like we saw the giant spider at the end of it. We saw some other monsters, sort of. We didn't get to see the full thing, but you see the hand with the claws or something like that. So, anyway, hope they do. I hope they do a lot with the monsters in this show. I mean, it really needs that. The theme seems to kind of be the worst monsters are the ones we create, and we mostly saw humans fighting humans in as far as the action in the teaser. So I hope that it goes beyond that. I hope that they just aren't showing the monsters because they're still developing the visual effects, that kind of a thing, which is probably the case. Those are going to be, I mean, massive post-production that needs to go into all of that. But, I mean, the worst monsters being the ones we create, that's kind of a cool theme. But, yeah, we definitely... I'm not going to be watching this show just to watch another Game of Thrones. We definitely want our monsters, and I hope they do a good job of representing those. There's some cool creatures from Polish mythology that, we saw in the games. That was just so cool because they're not typical, we're used to our sort of... like a lot of our fantasy in the West is based on sort of a Tolkien-esque type mythology, where you have the elves and the dwarves and then orcs and those kinds of creatures. I mean, those are just ubiquitous in a lot of Western fantasy.
I mean, for a lot of places that there are some things that go back beyond just that.
Well, we even saw reference to the elves.
The concept of dwarves and elves, and there's the concept of dogmen, like people with or humans with humanoid type people with heads of dogs, basically. And then there's a whole bunch of others, in the orcs are really, really common, and they're found throughout the world as far as medieval, not medieval, as far as mythical creatures goes. Which makes you wonder, are they really mythical creatures? Dun dun dun.
Does not make me wonder that, no.
No. Yeah.
Anyway.
But
yeah.
Sorry.
So, I mean, there are some common things. And, I mean, Poland, of course, is in Europe. And so there's going to be some overlap with, I'm sure, the rest of, typical sort of European mythology. We saw reference to the elves in the show, which I didn't even know that elves were part of the Witcher lore. Might come from the fact that I just played The Witcher 3, or maybe that is maybe that's just something in the books that they didn't explore in the game. Or maybe I'm just dumb and didn't catch on to that. But anyway, so yeah, so that they do have some history with the elves, but there's a lot of cool stuff in that series that we don't see in typical, sort of I guess commonplace mythology. Now, there's a lot of commentary about the appearance of the characters in the show, and one of the big ones is that Triss is not a redhead, and
it's kind of annoying.
That is, I mean,
I have to say that it's shocking and disturbing to see how many redheads are being replaced in Hollywood in general. It's a really, really disturbing, really disturbingly high number. Like it is very, very odd and concerning how many redheaded characters are just being removed and replaced. And again, it's like I have nothing for redheads and nothing directly against redheads in a special or different kind of format, but it is odd and creepy that replacing redheads is the thing. I think there's a list. I think I pulled up a list the other day because it was kind of it's kind of a meme thing going around, and I was like, haha. And then I actually looked at the list and I was like, oh crap, that's wow, that is a much bigger list than I thought. And I realized that from time to time, every once in a while, Hollywood being Hollywood, they're extremely, extremely, extremely picky about particular people and particular types at various times in history. It used to be that they overdid redheads in Hollywood, but at the same time they were underdoing other people. And I find it really interesting and funny that they claim to be moral arbiters and are oftentimes the most racist people ever in society. So, it's like Hollywood. You guys are kind of messed up at times.
So-
but anyways, I just thought it was really funny.
There are several comments saying that Triss was not actually a redhead in the books here. So, okay, that's interesting. All right. I have an infographic that is comparing the appearance of the characters in the books, games, and the Netflix adaptation, and it's got Triss pictured as a redhead here. So, that could be misleading to me, I suppose. Anyway, did you have any final comments about The Witcher?
No, looking forward to it because even if it is, it is through Netflix, but the bigger the success of the show, the more that will help CDPR, and the more that helps CDPR, the more that indirectly helps Cyberpunk 2077. So, I mean, that's a good thing. That is a very, very good thing in general.
All right. Excellent. All right, you are listening to the Augmented Reality Podcast. We love seeing everybody so active in the live chat. If you're just joining us, the Cyberpunk talk is still coming. And if you want to keep the conversation going after the live broadcast, we welcome you to join our Discord community. You can find the link in the description below. It's a place where you can chat with us and other Triple S fans about all the things we love to talk about, stay up to date about everything we're doing here at the Triple S League. Click the link below to join, and be sure to say hi to us in the welcome channel. All right. Should we get into the Cyberpunk stuff now, or did you want to talk microtransactions first?
No, we're going to do Cyberpunk, and then we'll do microtransactions.
Okay, so we got a cool new screenshot. At least we think it's a screenshot from the game of a motorbike that was posted on Twitter. And it looks awesome. People are actively drooling over that, so that is cool to see. The style of a lot of the things in this game is just so awesome. Like the level of detail that they're putting into this, and creating this futuristic world. I'm actually just bringing up Twitter right now, see if anything else has been.
Well, as a man
posted.
who was stunned once said, "Wowie wee wee wow."
Yes, this is a sexy bike. There is no question about that. I'm not into motorbikes really, in real life, but man, that is some hotness. That is definitely some hotness. And I mean, we talked a bit about the interview. There's a new interview with Alvin Liu. We talked about it extensively on Wednesday. As I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, there's a lot in there that we didn't talk about just because it's stuff we have talked to death before. Mm-hmm. And we were thinking about diving into that a little bit more today, but there's another topic that...
Not very much of it is... not very much of what was covered in that article is actually new. Most of it is rehashed as of a recent rehash. So it's... Again, it's like we don't really need to talk about, because we literally talked about most of this stuff on Wednesday. So we don't want to repeat ourselves too much. So yeah.
No, absolutely. And there's another topic that we wanted to discuss, though. There seems to be a trend of articles coming out right now advising us to temper our expectations about Cyberpunk 2077. It's interesting. I mean, this is something we have talked about before with other games. How much hype is too much? can we be overhyping things? And there's some danger in doing that, in setting our expectations too high for something, for sure. So, but it's really interesting that this is coming out in a lot of news sites. And you have to wonder why, because you would think the hype would be good for these news sites. You'd think that it would be drawing people in to read the articles about, every little thing. Why are they concerned with us tempering our expectations? I suppose there's a click. I don't want to say clickbait, but I suppose there is an aspect of that as well, getting people to click when you say, oh, maybe it's not as good as you think it's going to be. But do you have any idea why there seems to be this trend? Because I'm just noticing, one article, then another article, then another article.
Because it mostly revolves around the fact, not the assumption, but the fact that negative news will always sell more than positive news. So if these guys had popped out an article saying, here's the top 10 reasons why this game is going to be great, it would have gotten statistically less traffic than an article that would have come out to say what they've said, which is 10 reasons why not to be overhyped. Because you as the reader are more inclined to click on that article going, oh, BS, I totally disagree with this, and then read and get lost in the article. And by the time you are able to comment or react to the article, and again, this is not how YouTube videos works. This isn't. Hate clicks can get more, but you end up getting a higher rate of burnout, and that is because you have an instant way to immediately engage with the content. On these websites, it's like you have to try hard to even find the place to comment. Well, I mean, the comments are right down at the bottom of the page, but it's like to get there, you have to scroll through, an entire page and a half of ads in order to get to the comment section. And then the comment section is like, most of the time it's barely legible, or it's a mix mash of like bots and real people's comments. Then you typically have to sign in or connect in some way that ends up giving your user info to the site that you're upset with. And the comments in this are not the comments on this article are all negative to the comment, or to the article, not the comments. The comments are all negative to the article. So that tells you wow, so most people disagree with this completely. Mm-hmm. And some people are pointing out that some of this stuff is complete bull. It's complete bull.
A lot of it. You're talking about the What Culture article now? This is
why I'm talking literally about the What Culture.
whatculture.com website. Now,
article,
Yeah, so we're going to go through this article
from
whatculture.com. Now, disclaimer, I actually like What Culture a lot, but I feel like they missed the boat on this one quite a bit. There's just some wrong information in here. I enjoy their videos way more than visiting their website. I cannot believe how many ads are on the website.
It's a trash website in the sense that they use the whole hey, here's this article. Want to read this article? That's the first page. Click on the thingy below to load up the next page of the article where you can start reading the article. So you can click on that. And then you click through about, it's got 10 points on this thing. You click through 15 times.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, and what's disgusting is that they take those clicks and they sell those clicks to other websites like CNN and other places to help inflate their numbers, to help inflate their advertising revenue. It's the whole process. Seriously, you get into this, you discover very quickly how absolutely disgusting this entire industry is. It's really, really gross and disgusting. It makes you want to take a shower. Anyway, sorry, I know I'm getting way too into it here, but
well, let's read. I mean, just to give some fair context, I'm going to read a bit of the intro paragraph here. By its very nature, there's going to be some negativity in this article. It's important to remember that Lots of Cyberpunk still looks massively appealing. Some of these issues are arguably minor or subjective, so your mileage may vary, and the game still has Keanu Reeves. I mean, fair point. Keanu Reeves, right? Even if it is looking kind of meh, Keanu Reeves. Anyway, just kidding. The game looks amazing.
Yeah.
The game looks amazing with or without Keanu Reeves. But anyway, so this article is entitled Cyberpunk 2077: 10 Harsh Gameplay Truths You Need to Know. So we're just going to go through these. I haven't read them all because this article came out only within the past couple hours, so it was brand new. But we'll go through these and just discuss each one briefly. Number 10, of course, something we've talked to death before.
The first one is the only thing on this entire list that I actually agree with.
That there's no third person.
And it's rated number 10. It's the last one on their list. It's like, seriously? And I think they did this because it is for me, it's the biggest issue. But they put it on number 10 because I believe that it's the only actual credible one that they actually have. It is the only credible complaint. And again, it's not a complaint that's worthy of like not buying the game. I know a lot of people who suffer from significant motion sickness, and they're still planning on buying the game and trying to like muddle through it as best as they can. Even though they know that it's not that. Even though that they know that physically it's not going to be an enjoyable game for them. It will only be enjoyable as far as memory, recalling the experience of the story. Mm-hmm. And in case you're all wondering, because I get this question a lot, it's like, why don't you just take gravel? You know, gravel is addictive, and it's really not good for you to take in long periods. It really isn't. So... Mm-hmm. Yes, I understand. But at the same time, it's like, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. It's fine.
The only one. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about it to death, so let's leave that one there.
Well, I do want to point out though that CD Projekt is aware of the first person only issues, and as far as I know, they are doing what they can to assist. There's going to be field of view options. There's going to be a variety of things. So,
you know what would have assisted? Just give us a damn third person. It's really
moving on. All right, point number 9 on this list, and this is where it immediately starts to go off the rails. It might only have the illusion of choice.
Yeah, what culture can just suck it right about now?
Doesn't make any sense. Now, let's read what they actually have to say here. Cyberpunk 2077 has again pushed the idea of choice, but already the grand scope which was once presented to us has been stripped back. Where has it been stripped back?
How are you getting this? Yeah. Not only is this a mislead, I believe an intentional mislead to help drive the clicks. It's that they just don't have any proof of this.
Yeah, there's been nothing, if anything. Like we recently had, who was it? Tomaskovich, one of the important devs. They're all important, but one of the more name recognizable devs at CD Projekt Red came out and said, the biggest improvement we've made over the past year is adding more ways to play, adding more choice, adding more layers of complexity to the story. So where they're getting this is beyond me. But they continue their argument here saying, Cyberpunk put out 4 posters recently, each describing a different way of life in Night City. There's necessity over style, style over substance, substance over style, and substance and style. With the promise of being able to choose our own backstory, many thought we'd have these 4 options for multiple starting points, similar to Dragon Age Origins. Where on earth is this coming from? Those are just showing different visual aspects of the game. That has nothing to do with your starting points or your story choices. And it appears from the demo, this is continuing to read from the article, it appears from the demo, though it's not confirmed, that there will only be 3 backstories, Techie, Netrunner, and Solo. It looks like the classes will determine your start rather than any narrative choice on your part. This is so off the wall. This is like it's not even. There's nothing to debunk here because this is just wrong.
it's based upon like what some people believed the game might have been like before any of the actual information ever came out. And then it was basically stick together as a complaint. It's absolute garbage. Anyways, let's move on to the next one.
All right, next one. Yeah, because we got 10 to get through here.
Yeah, body mods have been downplayed. It's like, okay, in the reference to what is completely capable within the books and within the pen and paper game that has been created, yes, you can definitely make this argument. No, you can't make this argument as far as like taking any kind of a game and converting it into, any kind of a pen and paper game or book and then converting it into a digital video game. You just don't have the ability to add this amount of content to the game. It just would require an enormous amount. The amount of body customization and modifications that you can make within the scope of the pen and paper and the book series outweighs all customizations that have been available and added to Skyrim via modding since Skyrim came out. So you're talking about having a dedicated group of several thousand people creating content and modifications every single day for 10 years. And that's what they want to compare this to? It's disgusting. It's like, no, and no.
Well, and they make a statement here. Yet everyone we met in the demo was fairly normal, apart from the occasional metal limb.
Yeah, it's like go.
That's. I mean,
go
not
put
all.
yourself in a box.
Not all modifications are immediately visible. First of all, some of them are functional in nature and are give you abilities that aren't necessarily. And even like the mantis blades, you don't see them until you've actually extended them to use them. So you might see some lines on the skin or whatever, but that doesn't mean that the modification isn't there. But did you miss that gang in the gameplay demo, the last year's gameplay demo, where most of them had like the front of their faces removed where the eyes are and replaced with some technology there? Or in the trailer, the woman with like her jaw just not there because it can be, it was a cybernetically enhanced and you can detach it. Like, I don't know what they're talking about here. All right. Number 7. The city isn't as dynamic as mentioned. So
in where? From where? Previously.
I don't know. So it says here, Game Pressure's Draug recently dug into the negative aspects of Cyberpunk's gameplay, comparing it less than favorably to GTA, Borderlands, and Deus Ex. Based on everything we've seen, some of these comparisons don't seem exactly all that fair. However, it can't hurt to temper our expectations slightly.
Which is basically this particular argument is like getting the kids in the car saying, "Hey guys, we're going for ice cream," and everybody's like, "Yay, that's awesome! Oh my goodness, yay!" And then going, "Oh, guys, this has ruined our day. Oh, guys, okay, so the best ice cream emporium that was voted the best ice cream emporium in the entire world." It's closed. We've got to go to the number 2 one today. I'm so sorry. This has no doubt ruined your day. It's like, how shallow do you think we are, just generally speaking? Like, good Lord. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
Mm-hmm. It says also here under this point that NPCs scarcely react to you at all. Even if you bump into them, they'll just keep on trucking.
It's almost as if they've been to New York City. Oh my God. Like, oh.
Yeah.
It's really, in a city of millions of people walking around and bumping into somebody, you don't get an immediate reaction just by walking near somebody. It's like, my God, it's almost as if they've lived in big cities where that's the norm. Where is this writer? Where does this guy live? I'm really curious as to where exactly
I don't know what culture is based in Britain, but I don't know what city.
Must be a small city where everybody knows everybody,
What-
and you walk down the street and everybody says, "Oh, good morning, Joe. Oh, hello, James. How's the wife and kids? Oh, very good, sir. Oh, great, wonderful. Well, have a good day. See you for crumpets. Yes, see you for crumpets." This must be the environment that they live in every day, because to say, "Oh my God, I walked past 10 people on the street and none of them said hello or asked me who I was." It's like, yeah, that's what normally happens when you live in a big city, you dunderhead.
Well, one of the things they point out is that you can't gun down citizens with impunity. But I mean, is that really?
You can. This just got confirmed. It just hasn't been shown in any of the gameplay. Because probably, I don't know, I'm expecting that CDPR is not, psychopaths who want to take their first game, in the Cyberpunk universe, and with the limited time that they have to show it off to people, and just show somebody driving into a crowd. Like, what? First of all, not everybody does that. I have never done that in a video game. I know I might be kind of weird, but I have never walked around causing just mass mayhem just because I can inside a video game. I have never actually done that in Skyrim. I have never walked into a village or a town and just killed everybody there. Never done it. And again, I know that there's people who do it. And I'm not saying that you're bad for doing that. It's just as somebody who actually does like reviews and does this stuff on the daily. This is not something I would expect from them to do at an E3 showcase.
No, and of course, if
this
you
is
do
the point that I'm making. I'm not saying that this is not something that we want in video games. I'm saying that as far as an EA showcase, you have 14 minutes, maybe 45 minutes to showcase a video game product to a room full of people, and it's an RPG. The last thing you're going to waste time doing is showing how you can mow down entire groups of... That just is not a thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, really, like, go back to any of the Grand Theft Auto games where, again, you can do that. It's like they don't showcase the player ever doing that in the like, again, very time-limited gameplay that they can show off at the showcase. Now, yes, obviously, when they're doing tons and tons of Let's Plays, somebody might do that at some point. But to do that at E3, which used to be only for like business people, and you're basically just pitching your product to these business people so that they'll push it in their respective stores or on their respective magazines or websites. It's like, you don't do something like that because it's a waste of everybody's time. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, let me show what you can do with this pigeon in this game. It's like, no, show me the stuff that I'm going to use to sell this to somebody else. That's cool. And, hell, in some cases, actual video games follow up with that kind of a creation. However, what you're suggesting here is completely, like, huge, enormous waste of time. Why would you do it? And
not to mention that becomes the front page headline. This game is Murder Simulator 2019. Like... That's the clip that then gets used on CNN.
So again, this number 7, a complete straw man of epic proportion, and I'm extremely disappointed in this one. It's like, ugh, I can't even get the taste out of my mouth. Like it's like, ugh.
You're not supposed to eat those bits. All right, 6 more to go through. We'll go through them as rapidly as we can here.
The next one. This one is completely and absolutely pathetic. The next one is rigid and uninspiring enemy leveling. Mm-hmm. It's like, again, how do you know? How? Nobody's seen the quote-unquote enemy leveling. You have no idea. So this is a complete guess at this point. I'm sorry, I thought we were supposed to be journalists, not guessing randomly at stuff because, again, no basis for this whatsoever.
Well, they give this...
We've seen some baddies ranging from levels from 2 to 18, but there's no real difference in visuals or combat style. Again, how do you know? It's like, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Ugh. Sorry, I don't want to leave that. I want to leave that one because it's the patheticness of that argument is so is so grand that it's like it's really no point in even like dignifying it with an answer.
Okay.
Missions, yeah. Missions seem very linear. Okay, this one is sort of interesting in the sense that that's sort of true. Yeah, they're linear. It is an RPG. So
Yeah, what game isn't that the case where you do have some linear elements? Like, unless you just want a complete sandbox, you want Cyberpunk 2077 Minecraft, there's going to be some linear elements. That's how a story works. I mean,
yeah, so I'm really annoyed by this one because again it's like, well, what exactly are you expecting? Like what what point is this point supposed to represent? Like I'm a little confused. I think what you're saying and I think what you're meaning is that you're insulted by the fact that there's that there's a start and a finish to missions. Is that what you're saying? Because that's both childish and moronic. Like
yeah,
it really is.
they make comparisons to Deus Ex here, which I don't know. I don't understand how they're. They say Cyberpunk, while it does offer 3 different playstyles, there's more than 3. Seems so far to be very linear. Each mission or skirmish seems to have a set optimal pathway depending on said playstyle. They may have showcased 2 or 3. Like this is the problem you keep coming up.
Again, they haven't gotten their hands on this, so how they can know this? It's like, well, I watched a guy play it. It's like, okay, you watched a guy play a game that's in like early beta stage. Congratulations, you.
Yeah, plus they had to
nitwit.
they reloaded a save and played a mission in a different way to showcase a couple of the different ways you can do that. That's not a comprehensive examination of everything the game offers.
Yeah.
So
again, this is put into the experience to be as tight and as like without wasting people's time, because again, you have 15 different interviews to get to in a day. It's 8 hours. You got 15 to get to. That's almost 30 minutes, per interview, plus the fact that you have to travel through a massive crowd of people. So again, the arrogance of this statement is just disgusting. Like, it's just disgusting.
The next one's worse in my opinion. No real detail on side quests, and he makes the argument that the lack of detail and gameplay that we've seen are combining to basically conclude that we're in for some fairly paint by number side quests. That's the exact wording used here.
They have no way of judging this whatsoever.
It doesn't make any sense, and especially considering statements that we've covered previously from the studio saying that what you do in side quests is going to affect your main quest. How they can say this is just baffling. Point number 3. Wow, and see, I hadn't gotten this far into the article before we started the broadcast, so these ones are completely new to me, and this one just is baffling. Making it accessible to non-shooter fans is important to us, and that's in quotes because it is a direct quote from Alvin Liu.
Mm-hmm. Why this is a bad thing is really confusing.
Well, I don't know. Let's find out here. Similar to the first-person only angle, how much this influences your enthusiasm for the game depends on your feeling towards shooters in general. Okay, they just don't understand that this is supposed to be a first-person RPG, not an FPS. So, might as well just move on.
Congratulations, yes.
Number 2, the shooting is pretty bland. We've talked this one to death before. We don't know. We haven't played the game yet. There's no way to judge that based on watching somebody else play it. And plus, the game is still... They're still tweaking things. The game is 10 months away from release still. 9 months away.
Yeah.
And then the final point here. Hacking seems like Watch Dogs. Oh, boy.
It's like, hacking looks like other things that we've tried before. I'm really disappointed in this. And... okay,
You're just
Right.
following button prompts. Okay, they've completely missed the fact that there's an entire hacking minigame.
Yeah. So would you rather not have a mini game for hacking in general, or
I don't know.
So
But anyway, this
this
is
stuff lights my fire because it's like this is so this is, again, it's clickbait for the sake of clickbait. And yes, it worked in the sense of us reading it out, but the damage this has done for my respect for what culture is immense. It is immense.
It's very disappointing because this is.
I don't think it was malicious in the sense of like they're just trying to like get clicks, period, and they don't care about the people who blood, sweat, and tears have made this game and worked on this game. I don't think it's that level of like arrogance and stupidity, but this is like bad.
It's garbage. It's utter garbage, and it is disappointing coming from What Culture. Now, granted, I like, while I do enjoy What Culture's videos, I don't go to them for news. Mm-hmm. Just because I don't feel they necessarily do a rigorous job, like of vetting their info. I do appreciate some of their, like, they do these list article videos on YouTube, and I'm subscribed to their gaming channel and their One About Movies, and I enjoy binge watching those every now and then when I just want to kick back and consume some fun stuff about pop culture stuff that I enjoy. I appreciate it, but they're more opinion pieces, I feel, and like they do, like, they'll do stuff like the top 10 movie sequels you won't believe are being made, kind of a thing. It's kind of like I'm trying to think of the name of the website that I'm trying to compare it to, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I do enjoy their YouTube content, but yeah, I've never really, I don't go to them as a news source necessarily, and this just further emphasizes that that's probably a good idea. All right. I guess that's all there is to say about that, unless there's any more Cyberpunk stuff that's popped up since we started the live chat. I mean, if that ever happens, definitely let us know in the chat, or post something, like I said, in the content requests channel on our Discord server. But we're going to move on now to talk about something a little more serious. Not a fun topic, but something that we wanted to bring up, and we hope you all stick around for, because it's important. It's important to understand where the industry is going in terms of microtransactions and video game monetization. We've seen a lot of companies going in a very bad direction. Of course, the classic examples being EA, Activision Blizzard. Now we've got Bethesda going in a very bad direction as well. We've seen, a bunch of examples of that, about how they are sacrificing the artistry of their games for monetization. And there really is a trade-off there. Now, as we've also covered, and as it's been all over the news, so it's probably something a lot of you are aware of, a number of countries have been cracking down on loot box mechanics, investigating them. It's happening everywhere, European countries and the United States. Not sure what it looks like over in Australia and New Zealand. If anyone lives there that one wants to let us know, please do. Let us know if any of that is going on over there. But some countries have outright banned loot boxes in games. And there was recently a summit in the UK where representatives from Epic and EA were talking, had to testify before government officials in the UK about all of this. And they basically were given an 18-month countdown to get better. I don't know the details about what they're expected to do, but anyway, that's just some backstory to what we're going to be talking about next. So in a world where governments are taking a critical eye on loot boxes and saying, this is maybe not a good idea and maybe something that we're going to outright ban, well, these game publishers have to find alternative ways of bringing in that revenue. And Saib, you have a lot of connections in the industry, and you've heard some of the ideas that are being floated around. Around about alternatives to loot boxes and Not all of them are flattering. It's not like let's say loot boxes are banned worldwide. That's not going to be the end of the problem. And this is the issue with the governments getting involved.
That is only the introduction of the problem.
And well, that's why we've been saying for a long time. We have been saying these companies need to smarten up, or governments are going to get involved, and that in some ways is going to make things worse. And it looks like that is going to be the case. So, all right, I will
massively worse.
I will let you take it from here, and you can tell us what are some of the alternatives that have been floating around, and what could we be looking at over the next few years as far as monetization in games.
Not good. It's not good in any way, shape, or form. This is absolutely not good. There's nothing good that I can talk about as far as how and why and what they're planning on doing. So basically, a couple things crossed my desk in the last couple of days, and I'm gonna kind of list them out here for you. So they recognize that this is a massive problem. They recognize that they are on thin ice with many countries, and that they have to find a way that they will be able to kind of create a the same thing, right? That they've been doing, the same level of making money. They very much want to do that, and they are not giving up, not in any way, shape, or form. They have every intention of dragging this out to every nth degree that they possibly can before they are forced to move over to a new scenario or to a new situation. And in doing so, they want to continue with the most amount of money. Right now, the loot box system creates as much money for them as they can possibly squeeze out of players. They have there are entire companies of hundreds of employees dedicated to finding out how to abuse and manipulate anybody and everybody into paying for something that one would think you shouldn't have to pay for. This is big business. It is the cornerstone of a lot of businesses, and especially in gaming right now, it's the cornerstone of nearly every company. You know, EA and Activision are primarily funded by this mechanic. So how can they take their income levels and move over to a system that doesn't include loot boxes whatsoever and still continue with this money? And what we're going to end up seeing, and what's being thrown around right now, is the concept of time gating. And time gating as much content as they can behind expensive memberships, experience boosts, and a couple other things. So what is a time gate? Well, time gate is literal, like you have to wait 2 weeks before you can do this. But it's also the thing that's used really commonly in the Candy Crush games, where it's like, you were playing this mission and you almost got this done. That's so sad. But yeah, you are definitely up against the wall here. So you can no longer progress in this mission.
You are out of energy, they say, which is
you're
literally
out of
just a
energy.
time limit.
You're gonna have to, you're gonna have to wait, 14 hours in order to continue playing. And you're gonna be like, and you're like, oh man, that sucks. So what am I gonna do? Oh, if I pay $5, I can keep playing for another hour. Oh well, that's awesome. Okay, sure. And then they chuck money at it, and you're like, wow, you just really got suckered into that hard now, didn't you? And yes, they did. So this is one of the main new systems that they'll be incorporating, but they're also going to be incorporating things like time limited events that are related to a loot box reward. So loot boxes are now things that you gain in game by playing game, and when you open them, there will no longer be junk items. There'll no longer be items that you don't want or don't need. It will be exactly like Fortnite's system, where it's like, here's the rewards that you get. And Epic made this argument. They said, Fortnite Battle Royale has absolutely no loot box mechanics in it, forgetting to mention that Fortnite Save the World Edition has some of the most egregious loot boxes I've ever seen in a video game ever. The fact that you can drop $10,000 on that and not get the character or the thing that you want is disgusting to me, personally. But they're going to have more of the way that the Battle Royale mode operates. So here's a membership, and you have to play, and you have to complete all this stuff, and that'll give you the experience to unlock the whole treasure trove, and you get every single item on that list. But what's the catch? The catch is that unless you're a really, really, really good player with a lot of free time on your hand, you're not going to be able to unlock that. So they sell you the solution, which is, oh, hey, you can buy like 10 levels of this experience chain up to level 100. And if you just buy 10 levels at a time, you can unlock that instantly. However, the first cost is going to be like $15 to unlock 10 levels. Then the next cost is going to be $30 to unlock, up to the next 10 levels. And then it's going to just keep increasing from there. And that's what they're going to do there for that kind of stuff. No more junk items in a loot box that you open and you're crossing your fingers. You're hoping that you get that legendary item, and it opens up and it's like, oh, hey, it's not the legendary item. It's the blue item that you didn't want, that you have 15 copies of already. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's really, really disappointing. I mean, why did you do this? I don't understand. And maybe,
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm gonna go back and spend more money. And so that's the new mechanic that they're going to be utilizing. This is the new stuff that they're throwing around. They're also going to be throwing around time limited events, where again it's like you have the, if you have the time to burn, you can do like 5 or 10 of these runs, and you'll get access to all this cool loot, but it's going to take you 10 hours and the event closes in 4. But you can buy an experience booster where you do one match for 8 minutes and you get basically the equivalent XP of doing 100 matches or 10 matches or whatever. But again, you have to spend that $15 to $20 in order to get that.
So instead of selling you a loot box, they give you the loot box for free, but you either have to grind for hours and hours and hours, or you buy the level up.
Yeah.
Which they could eventually, they could remove a level cap and make it infinite essentially. But then they can say to these governments, we're not selling loot boxes. They can,
no, we're
on
not
a
selling
technicality,
loot boxes.
they can.
We've decided that you're right. You're absolutely right. We no longer want to sell loot boxes to people. Well, what are you selling to people now? Oh, we're giving them guaranteed rewards. Every time they open a loot box, it's a set number of items, and those items do not change. Do they come in at from time to time and they just don't show up? This is what is eventually going to put these absolute idiots into a corner. They have no understanding of where they're taking the industry and what they're doing to themselves and what they're doing to their potential futures. They're basically hopping in on this concept of like, oh, we're just going to keep milking the people. And every time we get caught, we're going to apologize. We're going to go, okay, we'll go fix it. And then they'll end up going back to basically just do what they just did. And this will happen over and over and over and over again until the general public gets sick of them and demands for full-on government intervention. Which case, most of these studios will then be basically like what's happened in England. They will basically take these companies and they'll basically turn them into government-regulated entities, like a certain television system that works in England, where it's completely funded and run by the government. But then suddenly you can only say what the government wants you to say. It's kind of disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of disgusting and it's kind of gross.
So it was bad before, and
it's going to get worse.
Now with the governments getting involved, it is going to get worse, both from the perspectives of some of the alternatives that they're posing to loot boxes, which are potentially worse than loot boxes, but won't be as legally questionable, I guess. But also in the sense of, government control over the industry, which is nothing any of us want. So,
because
not a fun topic, as I said. It's not. I mean, it's kind of a downer topic. And I appreciate most of you sticking around, though, because it is an important topic. It's something we need to figure out a way to fight back against, because this is garbage.
Well, and again, it just goes to show that this will just keep returning. Yeah. HTK Gaming, thanks for the super chat. Again, you were so wonderful, and we love you very much.
We should read the message here. He says, I can't wait till Cyberpunk 2077 comes out and proves to everyone that great games still live, great games without microtransactions, and truly catering to the gamer community. As always, much love, fellas, and keep being you. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And we really appreciate everybody's support for this show. I think that's where we're going to wrap up the show today. But,
well, I wasn't quite finished with that whole thing, but sure.
Did you have? How much more do you have to say?
Well, so one of the things that they're going to be doing is they're going to be offering like special endings that unlock certain things, but you have to have a certain level of skill into unlocking those endings. But those things will become basically optional pay gating as well for that kind of stuff. So. Yeah, I was going to go into that, but I mean, if we got to go, then we got to go, so.
All right, well, I mean, it depends how deeply we want to go into this. We could go into it more deeply in the future, but we've already...
Yeah, we'll touch on it. We'll touch on it again down the road, because, again, like, I've just been getting the preliminary things in from several of these companies where they're sitting around going, guys, so we're in hot water. We need to find another situation that will guarantee us the exact same amount of revenue income just by changing the way that we do the microtransaction. Just by changing the package into something that the government is happy with, which means taking away the slot machine mechanic and replacing with some other mechanic that's just as equally. So there's a couple of things in society that are really, 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 really terrible. Slot machines are one of them. Like bad slot machines are one of them. It used to be that slot machines had a 99% payout ratio, and those slot machines, I mean, that's fun because it's like the chance of winning. I mean, it pays out. The company who owns the slot machine is only taking in 1% of what money goes through that slot machine. And that's completely different than the slot machine loot box system that they have now, which is completely disgusting and annoying. But the other thing that's really gross is like the payday loan kind of stuff. And those companies are just trash. Those companies are just garbage. They're some of the most predatory systems there, but there's no gambling behind it. It's just a payday loan. So it's hard to regulate it because it's like a loan like any other loan. What are you talking about? It's just a loan. It's like, why are you hitting up poor business people? They're just trying to make money. And it's like, yeah, but they're making money by preying upon the most vulnerable people in society. It's like, yeah, so what? Everybody's got to make money. Everybody needs a loan. Other people can't get these loans, and the arguments that they use to defend it are really circular logic and like really, really weak and pathetic. And it's this kind of stuff that's just like, ugh. It's absolutely terrible. It's like payday loans give away more money in debt forgiveness than any other company. Yeah, because you have a 9,000% interest. And it's really easy to take somebody who says, hey, you borrowed $200 from me like, a year ago. Now you owe $10,000, but I'm willing to settle for like $800. It's like, oh, wow, that's a really good deal. Wow, you're really saving my life. You're cutting off so much money of that. Yeah, it's at $9,000, $9,800 worth of interest. Yeah, you bet that's a salvation when you cut $9,000 off of that. It's like, God, it's so disgusting. But yes, this is the stuff. This is the content that they are pushing out, that they are preparing, and that they will continue to build into the system. It's really, 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 really pathetic. And it's really dangerous. And just, again, wait to see, because it's going to be more of it's basically going to be the same thing, but yeah. It's just going to get worse, so.
Predatory, yeah. If you ban loot boxes, the predatory practices of these companies are not necessarily going to.
No, they're not going to go away.
That's why
they're just going to morph.
People, I've seen in the chat people saying we've got to vote with our wallets. We've got to punish these companies. The government solution is a Band-Aid.
Yes, it's very much a Band-Aid that will just result in worse and worse and worse stuff. Now, the nice thing, or the only silver lining on the government stuff is that they'll ban like straight out loot boxes, which I think needs to happen regardless of the situation. Not irregardless, because then that means but regardless of the situation, they need to ban loot boxes. Loot boxes just need to go. They're just garbage. If we can get a generalized return to more like just like anything, any other system is a little bit better, even if it's just as predatory. It's a little bit better if they do that, because at least then they take away that like slot machine with the lights and the it's garbage, that kind of thing, where if they just get rid of that, that's a step in the right direction.
Right, but if it's replaced with something worse, then that's even...
Well,
are we really ahead?
Well, it's not going to be replaced with something worse, because if there was a worse system that allowed EA to make more money, they would have already switched to that. And this is my point, is like the worst system is the system that we currently have. It's not going to get worse, it's only going to get marginally better. But it'll still be bad. And this is kind of what I was trying to say on Wednesday with the Fallout situation, is that they're both bad situations. Them breaking the rule, their own word, and then putting in something that's pay to win for sure into the game, that's bad. But it's not as bad as loot boxes are, right? And so we at least need to be happy that there's no loot boxes, but we still need to hammer them because they're breaking their word. And we need to do that with EA and these other companies. But no, the worst system right now is a system that's already has been implemented. So, yeah.
All right, well, we will leave it there for today. And I'll get that outro music started back up again. But anyway, thank you, everybody, for supporting this show, for the great conversation in the chat today. Thank you especially to our Patreon supporters, Shannon Vega, Old Man Manson, Evolution, and our 2 anonymous supporters. Thank you, HDK Gaming, for the generous super chat today, and to all of our channel members as well. Before you leave, before you close that tab or move on to the next video, please slam that like button to tell YouTube and us that you appreciate this content, if indeed you do appreciate this content. And if you do, hit that sub button as well, and then you can catch all of our content. Hit the notification bell if you actually want to be notified when we post content or when we go live. If you're listening after the fact on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, any of those outlets where our podcast goes to, we appreciate you being here as well. And hey, feel free to join us Wednesday nights and Saturday mornings for the live show, where you can interact with us and be a part of the discussion. The Augmented Reality Podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel for game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Asheninity. On behalf of Cybsidian, thank you all so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week.